Welcome to Aging Gracefully on Suncoast FYI. I'm your host, Nancy O'Neill. Each week I speak with local professionals on a wide range of topics, from fitness to finances and from dance to dentistry. We are here to give you tips and advice on how you can live a happy and healthier life no matter what age you may be. If you're thinking about getting dental implants, there's a lot you need to know. Telling us all about implant dentistry, we're joined by Dr. Adam Still with Smile Sarasota. Yes, implants. How long have those been around, implants?
Well, the technology involved with placing implants has been around for 40 plus years probably, but it's becoming more and more mainstream as time goes on, and we're seeing it kind of the number one go-to option for missing teeth at this point.
Okay, so what are dental implants? And let's start with that. What are dental implants?
Well, when in a situation where someone loses a tooth for whatever reason, whether it be a decay, fracture, or gum disease, or whatever caused you to lose the tooth, a dental implant is an option where we're able to, once we take the tooth out, we place the implant, which you can think of as like a titanium screw that would go down into the bone, and that's going to replace the root of the tooth. Now, from that root, or that artificial root, we're able to basically anchor materials on top of that so we can restore the space with, like a crown, for example, that gives you a tooth back in that spot.
Now, why would you recommend an implant over some other procedure?
Well,
is that the last place to go, or how do you determine
not necessarily. There are other options that you can do besides an implant. One option, for example, would be to place a bridge. So let's say the tooth is lost. In order to do a bridge, you would prepare the tooth on each side, and then we would cement a bridge in. Think of it as almost like 3 crowns in a row that are linked together that would cement over those abutments. And from that, you have a prosthetic tooth in the middle that fills in the space.
Okay.
Another option would be to have a removable appliance made, like a partial denture, for example, where it would be made of like denture, acrylic, and actual metal as well, and it would have little clips that would anchor to some of the remaining teeth, and there would be a tooth there that would fill in the space, and it would be removable by the patient.
Okay, so when would you recommend an implant to a patient?
Well, you'd use an implant in a case where you are looking to replace the missing space, you don't want a removable appliance, and you also don't want to involve the adjacent teeth.
Okay.
When you're doing a bridge, for example, you would prepare, again, like say, the teeth on each side for a crown, which means you take the outer layer off around the tooth structure on each adjacent tooth. Okay. With an implant, we're able to be more conservative with tooth structure because we're not touching those teeth. We're just restoring the spot by itself.
Right.
It's also a huge advantage of someone who doesn't want something that's be able to take in and out of their mouth as well.
So those would be the alternatives: a bridge, or
something removable.
And then, like you said, you have to, now you're impacting 2 other very good teeth. There's nothing wrong with
exactly.
them. So that's where that would make sense to me. If
right.
you're only going to take, that 1 tooth and not impact 3. So
exactly.
I like that. Advantages, disadvantages to implants.
Well, as far as advantages go, it's some of what we just talked about, being,
Sure.
the conservation of tooth structure. Another thing I like about it is that it's cleansability. When we involve a bridge, we're connecting multiple teeth together, which makes it harder to clean around. Whereas with an implant, you can think of it as like a natural tooth at that point. You can brush and floss on each side. It's more of a natural feel to it. Another thing I like about implants is that it conserves the bone in that area. If we're taking a tooth out and we're placing either a removable appliance or we're placing a bridge over it, the bone around the extraction site will resorb down, and it'll end up you'll lose more jawbone in that area, in that spot. Whereas if an implant's placed in there, it'll actually retain the bone in that area.
Okay. So now we're talking about a small space, obviously.
Right.
So what else can be done with implants when you're working with these?
That's a good question. By no means is implant dentistry limited to just small spaces. It can be used in a myriad of applications. Some of my favorite ones are where we're replacing entire mouths of lost teeth, whether it be missing all of your upper and lower teeth, or maybe you're just missing your upper, or you're just missing your lower teeth. In those cases, if we place multiple implants, we can actually create prosthesis that will restore all of the teeth. One of my favorite things is when you have a patient who's had dentures for years, and they're using denture adhesive, and they're just so sick of using those kind of products.
Yeah.
If we place multiple implants, we're able to fabricate a denture that will actually clip into those implants appliance, and it gives them retention from that. They still are able to take the appliance in and out, but it's kind of at their discretion, and it's more comfortable to them. Okay. Another option that's similar to that, but say you've got a denture patient that doesn't want to have it removable anymore, if we place multiple implants, in those cases, we can fabricate a much smaller version of a denture that will actually screw into the implants, and it stays in permanently, so the patient doesn't take it out anymore. They leave it in permanently, they're able to clean around it, and it's a little more comfortable to them, and it actually, you know, feels more natural because we can take away a lot of that acrylic material that they're used to having in there.
Okay. One final question before we close today. Time on these, because the other one you were saying it's, you know, you're in and out. Implants, I'm guessing, take a period of time.
Yeah, and that's maybe the one thing that's a drawback to certain patients is that there's more time involved with the process usually. When the tooth is taken out, typically we're going to graft bone in that area, we're going to let it heal for a few months, and then later on the implant will go in and be placed, and at that point we have to let the bone integrate around the implant, so a few more months of healing time. So there's a little longer treatment period, but the end result is usually great.
But the end result is great, and that's what you want, because you're going to have it forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Great. Thank you again. All very, very informative information here today.
Thank you very much.
We have more tips and advice for you with Dr. Jenny Wilkins of ageVital Pharmacy right after the break. We'll be right back. According to the American Academy of Dermatology, acne is the most common skin condition in the United States, affecting up to 50 million Americans annually. Here to discuss functional and natural solutions to prevent and cure acne is Dr. Jenny from ageVital Pharmacy. Another amazing topic to talk about.
And you know, some of the people from the social media pages are asking about these questions because they're teenagers or just getting into puberty, and they're like, what do we do? And they're trying to, you know, get away from the Accutane, and people are starting to realize that that Proactive is garbage and it's toxic, and all these ingredients that you find over the counter. I mean, this is a billion-dollar industry. Yeah. People are going like, which lotion, what facial wash, what soap, and they don't know.
And that didn't work, so they tried something else.
Or it got worse, and it dried out their skin, and it's carcinogenic, and then they're having other issues on top of the acne, and so it's exhausting.
What is acne?
So acne is when you have these pores that collect bacteria underneath the skin, and it becomes inflamed. So really, acne is inflammation of the skin. So once, you know, that pore gets either, you know, bad bacteria, or it gets, you know, some sort of fungus or even mold, things get underneath your pores. Your pores are like filters, and they'll get clogged. So you daily have to clean those filters to make sure, because we live in a toxic environment. You have to clean your skin, right? So what types of things does somebody need to do in order to have clean, you know, and healthy skin? I think number one, I would like to discuss about, you know, supplements, and then we'll go into, you know, things that people can do naturally, like changing their diet. But I have a system that I created. This is my nanobiotic CBD probiotic cleanser. Nobody has this right now. I made this because that's really, you're getting to the root cause, Nancy. So now you're putting good bacteria on your skin to fight off the bad bacteria. So we all know what probiotics are, right? We're feeding our gut the good bacteria. Yeah. But 10 to 1, we are more microbial than we are cellular. That's enormous. So we have more good bacteria on our skin than we do cells in our body. And I think about that.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. So everything destroys our microbiome on our skin. So we have to repopulate it naturally. And then I have the moisturizer that's the exact same thing. This has CBD and probiotics. And CBD is an ingredient that is naturally occurring in the cannabis plant. So you have the, you know, medical cannabis, and you have the industrial cannabis, which is considered hemp. But CBD is anti-inflammatory, and it's also anti-microbial. So it gets rid of bad microbes, so bad bacteria that causes you to have, you know, enlarged pores that leads to acne and pimples. So the other supplement I recommend is Aromadim. I know I've talked about this supplement before, but this is a natural estrogen blocker. So we call it an aromatase inhibitor. And what that does is it gets rid of too much estrogen that causes breakouts. And this is usually what I give to teenage boys and teenage girls. My dermatologists, my pediatricians love this supplement, because that's all they do, is they're supplementing with something that blocks estrogen, and then their skin starts to clear up. And then there's the probiotics that you can take every single night before you go to bed. So you have a 15-strain probiotic, you keep it refrigerated, and you constantly need to replenish. I love taking probiotics before I go to sleep. I give it to my 11-year-old, you know, I give it to all my children. But not only is it enhancing your immune system, but it's clearing out your skin as well.
And you may not feel it. I mean, because I take probiotics, and but it's something that does make you feel better. You just can't put your finger on why you feel better.
Yeah.
But they're amazing.
It's like a happy belly, you know?
Yeah.
But people, I think, underestimate the power of probiotics and how it relates to skin health. So even acne, rosacea, eczema, there's other skin conditions that probiotics can target as well.
Now, do you have to take all of these? Do you recommend?
I recommend when someone's having, you know, if teenagers, I recommend doing a combination of these three right here. This is the system. It's a three-phase system. Adults that have, you know, adult acne, or women that are going through menopause and their hormones are starting to, because adults will get it too. 85% of the population between 12 and 24 is who is currently getting, you know, the big cystic, painful acne. And that's bad, you know. I mean, it just reduces psychological. The other things come from that when your skin's not clear. I know what it does, you know, to teenagers during your you know, everything's about peer pressure, so these poor kids. And then I tell people, you know, change your diet. So I have natural solutions for people, you know, like start eating healthier. You are what you eat. That's not true. You are what you're absorbing. So you want to feed your skin, not feed bad bacteria.
So what are the lifestyle changes you can
Lifestyle
make?
changes, you know, like start purchasing foods that are non-GMO. Organic is not really a term I like to throw out there, because formaldehyde's organic, but it's not organic to the body.
Right.
I tell people, increase your, you know, amount of spinach that you're eating, tofu, raspberries, 100%, you know, cacao, which is chocolate. What child doesn't want to eat chocolate, right? And
or
then
adult.
Yeah, right, adults. I love it. It's like, wait, chocolate has CBD in it. So, and that's in my product, CBD.
Wow.
Chocolate has a natural source of CBD. Yams, and it helps control, you know, good, healthy hormones. So sweet potatoes, beets, and then also, you know, buckwheat. So these are good, healthy foods that just nourish the skin, and it promotes making sure that your sweat glands. It makes sure that none of that gets caught underneath the pores. Yep, because of it's highly oxalated, it's called. So you have what's called oxidative markers. And then when you have acne too, you have more oxidative stress on your skin. So you're feeding your body with good nutrition that have a high antioxidant level.
Now, what are your hours of operation and your locations on Main Street?
1618 Main Street, downtown Sarasota, Florida. People don't have to be local in order to utilize us. We do ship all 50 states, and we do telemedicine as well, and we have a website that people can go and purchase these products from too. And our pharmacists are happy to help everybody.
Great. Well, next on Aging Gracefully on Suncoast FYI, Esther Holt with Star Financial Solutions. We'll be right back. This week with Esther Holt, President of Star Financial Solutions, we talk about diversification. Nice to see you again this week.
Nice to be back.
Okay, so diversification. Let's start with what it is, and then we'll go into how it works.
It's when you put different types of securities in your portfolio to handle the risk, and this is for long-term investing.
And that's as simple as it is.
That's the simple definition.
Okay.
Just you balance the risk by putting different types of securities into your account.
Okay, that I understand. All right, and how does it work overall in terms of long term?
So let's say you want stocks, and so you can have big companies, small companies, you can have international companies, and then each kind of company is in a different sector. So you have utilities, and you have financial, and you have all this other stuff, technical companies. And so you have a little bit of everything. That's what makes diversification.
Okay. Now, does this only work with stocks?
Oh no, you can do it with bonds. You can have stocks and bonds, and you can have different kind of bonds. You can have long-term, short-term. You can have corporate. You can have municipal. All different types of bonds. You can have alternative investments. You can have real estate. You can have all different types of investments.
And this is when somebody should come to you when they're not quite sure what to invest in. That's when you use Start Financial.
Well, that's pretty much what we do.
Okay. So how do we know which to choose? Because investments go up and down all time at different times. How does one know? How do you guide them into investing correctly?
Well, this is what we call, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug.
Okay.
And so you need to have a little bit of everything, but you also need to have it so that the risk and the volatility is what you can handle, what you can take, what works with your tolerance and what you need for your future and your goals. And so we work together, we look at what you need. Do you need income now? Do you need income later? Do you need growth? You're trying to grow your portfolio. How much risk can you handle? When the market goes down, can you handle the downturns? And then we put it all together to make sure that you're getting, you're set up to get what you need.
Okay. Now, I would think that at different times in your life, it would be a different balance that you would have in yours, and you would talk to your client about that. Is there any formula that you use for percentages when you're looking at somebody's portfolio?
It's all different. It depends on the person, and it depends on, again, what they can take and what their goals are. And so if they need income, then we're going to look at things that produce income. So stocks that have dividends, bonds that, pay interest, other things that give income. If they want growth, then we might get a little bit more risky and put in companies that are growing, that might not be paying dividends or might be. And it's going to be very different.
Okay. And again, based on your age, I would think you would be a little more in the aggressive market when you're younger, because you can take a little bit more risk, and then as we get older, want to go into something a little more secure.
Not all the time, but much of the time it works that way.
Okay. So, and that's where you come in with your expertise.
Correct.
Okay. Any other reasons that you can tell us that people should diversify?
Well, there's one other term that I wanted to talk about, and that is rebalancing. And when you rebalance, it means that, so if you were to come in to see me and we put together a portfolio, we would have different types of investments in different percentages. Well, then the year happens, and let's say you had a few tech companies, so you don't want to take on a whole lot of risk. So we only put like 10% of the Apples and the Microsofts in there, and the techs have gone straight up. And so now you have a bigger percentage of that. So we want to reset your portfolio so that whatever's done really, really well, we take some off the top and put it with some of the things that haven't done so well this year, and then get everything back to the way it's supposed to be, because you don't know what's going to happen next year. So those that have done real well, whether it be tech or anything else, you have everything back to the way you need it for your goals. Okay, so you mentioned a year term. Should that be when everybody kind of checks on their portfolio and does rebalance it? It's a good time to do it. Yeah. There are certain portfolios that rebalance more. Okay. Some do quarterly, some even do monthly, some do twice a year. It just depends. All right. Now, is there anything else we need to know about diversifying our accounts before we close today? About diversifying, not so much, but I do have something I need to tell all the viewers. Okay. And as always, I believe you should be working with a credible financial advisor who will work with you to make sure that you are invested in a way that suits your needs. Feel free to call me for a no-obligation portfolio review. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. See you next week. See you next week. Thank you for joining us on Aging Gracefully on Suncoast FYI. To find more tips from local experts, you can view previous episodes and complete seasons at snntv.com under Programming. We'll be back next Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. with more tips on how you can live a happier and healthy life. Until then, have a wonderful week.